There comes a moment, subtle and sacred, when the noise of striving grows so loud that it collapses into silence. And in that silence, a deeper voice begins to rise, not with urgency, not with command, but with a gentle certainty that seems to know your name before you were named. It is the whisper of the divine, and it has been waiting for you. You do not have to find this voice. You do not have to earn its blessing or perfect yourself into its favor. You need only ask. And then you must let go. Ask the divine, not as a plea to a distant deity, but as a returning to your own infinite source. Ask not from the ego, which calculates and schemes, but from the soul, which already understands. When you ask from this place, from the stillness, from the surrender, your very question becomes a prayer, and your willingness to release becomes the doorway to miracles. But the mind will resist. It will whisper, plan, control, strive. It will tell you that the divine must be micromanaged, must be instructed on how and when and why to deliver. The ego does not trust the unseen. It is terrified by surrender. And yet surrender is the only real power you have. To ask the divine and then to let go is to say, I trust the intelligence that spins galaxies to also spin my life with perfect rhythm. It is to understand that the same breath that moves through the trees moves through you, and it needs no direction from your fear. It only needs your openness. We have been taught that control is strength, that faith is weakness, that surrender is for those who have no other options. But I tell you now, surrender is the fiercest kind of faith. It is the boldest declaration of trust. It is the quiet revolution that turns striving into grace. When you ask, ask with your whole being, not from desperation, but from alignment. Not because you are lacking, but because you are remembering your connection to something vaster than form. Speak to the divine not as an outsider, knocking on a door, but as the light within the lamp, igniting your own inner flame. And once you have asked, let go. Release your grip on the how, the when, the outcome. Do not dig up the seed to check if it is growing. Water it with trust. Expose it to the sunlight of surrender. Then walk away, knowing that what is meant for you cannot miss you, and what misses you was never yours. This is the sacred paradox. To receive, you must release. To manifest, you must surrender. To create space for the miraculous, you must stop trying to architect every detail of your destiny. You must become available to the unknown. Letting go is not abandonment. It is not indifference. It is not giving up. It is the most profound act of participation. It is participation without resistance. It is saying, I will show up, I will take aligned action, but I will not carry the weight of what I cannot control. I will let the divine decide the form. I will let life have its way with me. The Tao Te Ching reminds us that when nothing is done, nothing is left undone. This is not about passivity, it is about alignment. It is about allowing the river to carry you rather than exhausting yourself by swimming upstream. It is about becoming the reed, not the dam, the hollow flute, not the forced melody. You are not here to choreograph every movement of your life. You are here to dance with the mystery, and mystery, the sacred unknown, only enters when the door of certainty is closed. When you relinquish the need to know, to prove, to force, you create a sanctuary for grace to enter. You step out of the illusion of control and into the power of co-creation. The ego will protest. It thrives on control, on certainty, on checklist, spirituality. But the soul moves like the wind, unseen, unpredictable, free. The soul does not demand answers. It only asks that you stay open, that you stay willing, that you trust the silence between the words. Ask the divine. Then let go. Let go of the timeline. Let go of the outcome. Let go of the idea that you know better than the infinite intelligence that formed you from stardust and breath. Let go of the belief that your worth is dependent on what happens next. You are not being tested, you are being guided. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. You are not being ignored. You are being realigned. But you can only hear this if you are quiet. You can only feel this if you are willing to stop clutching at certainty like a drowning man clutches at driftwood. You must release to rise. Even Jesus in the garden did not demand. He asked and then surrendered, not my will but thine, not as an act of submission, but as an act of union. To let go is to remember that you are not separate from the divine. You are not a beggar at the gates of heaven. You are the presence of heaven, awakening within itself. You don't need to convince the divine to bless you. You only need to become a vessel for the blessing. And you do that through trust, through presence, through surrender. Ask the divine, yes. Ask boldly. Ask with joy. Ask with tears in your eyes if you must. But then release. Release the anxiety. Release the clenching. Release the narrative that says, if I don't control this, everything will fall apart. Everything will fall into place the moment you stop trying to force it. What is for you will unfold in ways more perfect than you could ever plan. What is meant to be yours will arrive not through grasping, but through grace. Not by proving your worth, but by remembering it. Trust is not a concept, it is a practice. It is a moment-to-moment choice to open your hands when fear tells you to close them. It is a breath, taken not in panic, but in presence. And in that breath, in that quiet surrender, the divine answers. Not always with what you expect, but always with what you need. Always with what your soul has secretly been longing for, even if your mind has not yet understood it. There is a great stillness beneath all the movement. There is a great wisdom beneath all the questions. And there is a great love waiting patiently behind every fear. So ask the divine. Speak your heart. Then let go. Let go as if the answer is already on its way, because it island. And let that knowing be enough. Letting go is not an act of abandonment, it is an act of sacred intimacy with life. It is to say to the universe, I trust you more than I trust my fears. It is to acknowledge that your limited mind cannot orchestrate what eternity already holds in its hands. So many walk through this life with clenched fists, gripping plans, expectations, identities, as if their very survival depends on the weight they carry. But the soul was never made to carry, it was made to flow. To let go is to unclench the fists, to open the palms, and to allow the current of divine timing to guide your days. You will not find freedom in control. You will not find peace in prediction. The peace you seek lives in your willingness to allow things to rise and fall, to allow people to come and go, to allow the mystery to move through you, not around you. And yes, allowing often means feeling the grief of detachment, feeling the ache of uncertainty, but beneath the ache is clarity. Beneath the surrender is serenity, and beneath the emptiness, something sacred is always born. Every time you let go, you are saying to life, I am ready for truth. Not the truth the world sells you, but the truth your soul has always whispered, and the truth is everything that is real will remain. Everything that is meant for you will find you, and everything that leaves was never the source of your peace to begin with. The ego mourns what is lost. The soul rejoices for what is revealed. Letting go is not a one-time act. It is a way of being, a continuous releasing, a rhythm of trust. Each morning is a new opportunity to ask and surrender. Each moment invites a deeper bow, a deeper breath. And in this breath, you will find the guidance you thought you needed to chase. It does not come with noise or fanfare. It comes in silence. In the space between thoughts, in the pause between trying and trusting, you are not here to hold it all together. You are here to be held by something larger. You are not here to impress the world with your plans. You are here to embody the sacred humility of one who knows they are being led. And the path you are on, no matter how uncertain, no matter how winding, is not a mistake. It is the exact unfolding your soul requires to awaken from the illusion of control and fall into the embrace of surrender. Ask the divine. Then trust so deeply that you stop checking your watch. Trust so fully that your breath slows and your heart softens. Trust so completely that even when the answer takes a different shape than you imagined, you know somewhere deep within that it is still the answer. Because your soul does not crave outcomes. It craves alignment. It craves presence. It craves the sacred yes that rises not from the world, but from within. Do not confuse letting go with apathy. It is not indifference, it is the purest form of engagement. To act without attachment, to give without demand, to move with love, without needing the world to echo it back. That is the dance of the awakened. That is the surrender of the sage. It is not weakness, it is power in its highest form. The kind of power that does not shout, but transforms. The divine is not far from you. It is not waiting in the distance, behind your next achievement, or beneath your next transformation. It is here, closer than your breath, quieter than your fears. And it speaks most clearly when you stop trying to script your life and simply listen. It does not speak the language of force, it speaks the language of flow. And you, beloved soul, are made of that same flow. You are not a mistake, you are not forgotten, you are not being punished. You are being polished, returned, refined by the fire of surrender. And though the fire may feel hot, it does not destroy, it reveals. Every sacred text, every enlightened master, every ancient teaching has pointed to this truth. The more you cling, the more you suffer. The more you release, the more you rise. And so the practice is not to become stronger in the ways of the world, but softer in the ways of the soul. Softer, not weaker. Softer, because softness is what allows the divine to move through you unimpeded. It is what allows miracles to land where your resistance once stood. The miracle is not in the outcome. It is in the space you create when you let go. The space for something greater, something unseen, something wholly aligned with the real you, the you that was never broken, never separate, never needing to be fixed. And this space, this holy spaciousness, becomes a temple. A place where grace can land, a place where peace can dwell, a place where you can finally rest, not because everything is certain, but because you no longer require certainty to rest. You are not asked to understand the plan, you are asked to trust the planner. You are not asked to know the future, you are asked to be fully present to this moment, where the divine already lives. And in this moment, there is nothing lacking. In this breath, there is nothing to chase. In this stillness, there is only truth. So let go, and let life do what it came to do through you. Let the divine lead. And you, beloved, follow without fear, without resistance, without needing the map, because the path is not outside you. The path is you, and every step you take in trust reveals more of it. When you stop asking life to bend to your will and begin to bend yourself to the rhythm of life, a profound peace emerges, not the peace of predictability, but the peace of participation in something infinite. You begin to sense that your part is not to push the river, but to trust its current, you. Begin to feel that your role is not to steer the stars, but to let their light illuminate the path beneath your feet, one humble step at a time. This is where your freedom lives, not in certainty, not in achievement, but in communion with the unfolding. A communion that does not need to be explained or justified. A knowing that hums beneath the surface of thought, guiding you not with instructions, but with quiet invitations. It may come as a whisper in the early morning, or a gentle tug in the center of your chest. Follow it, honor it, for it is not your mind's agenda, it is your soul's remembering. There is a deeper intelligence at work in your life, one that does not rush, does not panic, and never withholds. But it does require space. Space between your thoughts, space between your plans, space between the noise of wanting and the silence of receiving. In that space, miracles move. In that space, the answer arises, not because you grasped it, but because you created room for it to arrive. To live surrendered is not to live small, it is to live vast, uncontained by the rigid edges of control. It is to wake each morning not asking, what must I fix, but rather, what am I ready to allow? It is to greet the unknown not as a threat, but as a doorway into deeper truth. And each time you walk through that doorway, the identity you once clung to dissolves a little more, revealing not less of you, but more of your essence. You are not here to become, you are here to remember. Not the memory of your name or your history or the roles you've played, but the remembrance of your divine origin. The quiet clarity that you did not come into this world as a problem to be solved, but as a presence to be expressed. And that expression cannot be forced. It must be invited. It must be given the space to rise like the dawn, unhurried, inevitable, and full of light. When you trust the divine, you begin to hear the world differently. The sound of rain becomes a language. The touch of wind feels like a message. The pause between heartbeats holds revelations that no book could ever contain. You start to sense the sacred not as something above you, but as something within you, moving outward in waves of kindness, stillness, and grace. There is no map for this path, because you are the map. There are no landmarks because your soul does not travel linearly. It spirals, it dances, it breathes. And each moment of letting go is not a detour, it is the very movement of awakening. You do not awaken by climbing ladders or mastering techniques. You awaken by becoming so deeply present that the illusion of separation falls away like old skin. What remains is presence. Not the presence of performance, but the presence of truth. And that truth, when lived without fear, becomes your offering to the world. Not a performance to impress, but a light to bless. You will not need to declare it. You will not need to defend it. You will simply live it, and those who are ready will feel it in your silence, in your softness, in the way you listen, and in the way you love, without needing anything in return. To ask the divine and then let go is the greatest act of courage, because it asks you to live without armor. It asks you to stand open in a world that often misunderstands stillness. But stillness is not weakness. It is strength without aggression. It is clarity without noise. It is love without condition. And in this stillness, you will begin to see not just the path before you, but the sacredness of each step. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not missing anything. You are simply being shaped by a rhythm older than time. Let yourself be shaped. Let yourself be softened. Let yourself be emptied so that you may be filled not with plans, not with answers, but with the presence that has always been waiting for you to return. And return you shall not to a destination, but to yourself. There is a softness that begins to take root in you when you stop grasping at the future and begin resting in the grace of what island. This softness is not passivity, it is receptivity. It is the open field after the storm, not because the storm did not come, but because the earth remembered how to drink the rain. When you ask the divine and release your grip, you become like that field, ready to be nourished by whatever life pours in, even if the skies arrive heavy with clouds. We spend so many years believing that clarity must be chased, that purpose must be earned, that fulfillment is hidden behind the next mountain. But when you finally pause, truly pause, you discover that what you have been searching for never moved. It was always here, beneath the noise, beneath the striving, beneath the armor you wore to protect yourself from a world that kept whispering, you are not enough. But the divine never whispered that. The divine only sings one song, and it is always love. To let go is to return to that song. To drop the illusion that your worth depends on outcome. To stop bargaining with your own soul. There is no transaction in true spirituality. There is no trade. You do not need to become anything more to be worthy of guidance. You were woven from guidance. You were created from the very fabric of divine wisdom. Your breath is not separate from that which gives life to galaxies. And so when you ask, do not beg, do not shrink, do not lower your eyes in shame. Ask from the center of your being. Ask as the ocean asks the moon to pull her tides. Ask as the stars ask the darkness to hold their glow. And then like the tides, like the stars, surrender to your own rhythm. Let go of what you think should happen. Let go of how long it should take. Let go of who you must be to be loved. You are already loved. You are already held. You are already enough. There is a doorway inside you that can only be opened by silence. Not the silence of absence, but the silence of presence. The silence that comes when you are no longer trying to be impressive, no longer trying to outthink your pain, no longer trying to outrun your past. In that silence, the divine speaks not in words, but in feeling. Not in commands, but in invitations. You will know this voice by how it makes you feel like you've come home. Even if everything around you still looks the same, the world will keep shouting. The ego will keep strategizing. But the soul waits in stillness. It does not interrupt. It does not compete. It simply stands like a lighthouse on the edge of your being, waiting for the fog to lift. And when you finally stop searching the horizon for signs, you turn inward, and there at island, that light, that calm, that knowing. It was never gone. You just forgot how to see in the dark. There is a holy unraveling that begins when you choose trust over tension. When you stop asking, what if everything falls apart, and start wondering, what if everything is falling together? The unraveling is not your end, it is your becoming. The shedding of false selves. The loosening of what was never really yours. And yes, it feels like loss. It feels like breaking. But you are not breaking. You are being opened. You are being carved out to make room for something vast, something eternal, something sacred. Letting go is not the same as giving up. It is the brave act of turning the page when the story no longer speaks truth. It is not weakness to release what no longer resonates. It is wisdom, it is strength, it is the deep bow of the soul to its own becoming. And each time you let go, you make space for something real to rise. Not a replacement, not a fix, but a remembering of what has always lived beneath the layers. The divine does not operate on deadlines. The soul does not hurry. And so your task is not to speed up, but to slow down, to feel the texture of now, to taste the moment before it passes. To breathe as though each breath is a conversation with God because at island, because life is not a task to complete. It is a mystery to be met with wonder. Do not wait for the conditions to be perfect. The perfect moment is always now. The perfect state is always presence. The perfect path is always the one beneath your feet. Ask the divine not to rescue you, but to remind you. Not to fix you, but to reveal you. Not to change the world around you, but to change the way you see it. And then let go. Let go of needing to know. Let go of needing to be right. Let go of the story that says your pain has no purpose. It does. It brought you here, to this breath, to this prayer, to this remembrance. You are not here to figure it all out. You are here to feel it all fully. You are here to love, not as a strategy, but as your natural state. You are here to trust, not as a last resort, but as your first language. And you are here to let go, not as an act of abandonment, but as an act of devotion. Because what the divine can do with your surrender, you could never do with your control. There is a moment sometimes disguised as heartbreak, sometimes cloaked in the ordinariness of a Tuesday afternoon when something ancient stirs in you, not a desire for more, but a longing for less noise, less proving, less attachment to things that cannot hold your wholeness. This longing is not lack, it is the voice of the divine reminding you that your essence was never meant to be buried beneath layers of striving. You are not a machine built to perform. You are a soul, luminous and vast, here to be experienced, not explained. The truth is, most of what you think you need to hold on to is already trying to leave. Not because you are being punished, but because you are being freed. Life is not trying to hurt you, it is trying to return you. And when it takes things from your grasp, it is only because your arms are too full to receive what you truly asked for. Letting go is the clearing of sacred ground. It is the sweeping of the temple floor so the altar of your being can be seen again. And yes, it can be terrifying. Because ego clings to familiarity. Even when the familiar is painful, it gives the illusion of control. But the soul craves expansion, and expansion requires space. And space cannot enter a life crowded with certainty. The divine does not call the brave because they are fearless. It calls them because they are willing to feel their fear and keep going. And that is what letting go is. Not the absence of fear, but the presence of something greater. A quiet yes to life's deeper rhythm. A surrender not to defeat, but to design. You are not surrendering because you've lost your power. You are surrendering because you finally found it. Imagine a tree refusing to release its autumn leaves, clutching every brittle remnant of what once was. What would happen? It would not survive the winter. It would not make room for new growth. it would become imprisoned by what is already dead. And yet, how often do we do the same? We cling to old identities, expired dreams, relationships we've outgrown, beliefs that were never truly ours, and we wonder why we feel so heavy. To ask the divine is to acknowledge your sacred place in the order of things. But to let go is to embody that truth. It is to say, I will not carry what no longer resonates with my soul's unfolding. I will not trade my peace for the illusion of control. I will not silence my intuition for the approval of a world that does not know the depth of my calling. There is a timing more ancient than your plans, a wisdom more intelligent than your logic. And when you stop interrupting it with your urgency, you begin to witness how perfectly life has always been orchestrating your return. Even the detours were part of the path. Even the wrong turns were sacred. The pain, the pause, the pathless nights, they were all holy hands molding your soul into a chalice spacious enough to hold divinity. And so the question is not, how can I make this happen? The question is, how can I become available to what is already trying to happen through me? The answer does not come in words, it comes in presence, in stillness, in the quiet decision to no longer force life to fit into your mind's idea of how it should unfold. You do not need to manifest a better version of reality. You need to become a clearer vessel for what is already here. Letting go does not mean you stop dreaming. It means you stop chasing. It means you stop needing your dreams to arrive on your terms and begin trusting that their fulfillment might look different, feel deeper, and arrive with more grace than you ever imagined. It means you walk toward your desires with open hands and a surrendered heart, knowing that anything born from force will never satisfy the soul. You are not here to conquer the world. You are here to love it back into harmony, starting with yourself. You are not here to predict every twist of the journey. You are here to walk it with reverence. Each step, a bow. Each breath, a prayer. Each release, a blessing. And when you do this, when you truly let go, you become the field where grace lands. Not the grace of reward, but the grace of remembrance. The sacred recognition that everything you need has already been woven into your being. The peace, the joy, the wisdom, it is not something to achieve, it is something to uncover. The more you release what you are not, the more your true self rises not as a performance, but as a presence. And that presence heals, not because it tries, but because it shines without seeking. It breathes without needing to impress, it lives without permission, it loves without boundaries. This is the miracle that follows surrender. You stop trying to be the light, and you remember that you already are. There comes a stillness, not at the conclusion of striving, but in the quiet realization that nothing was ever missing. A stillness that does not ask for applause or recognition or even understanding, only your presence. And in that presence, you meet yourself again. Not the version you curated for the world, not the identity shaped by circumstance or success, but the one who was always here, always watching, always loving, even when you forgot, you asked, you released, and now you remember. Remember that every breath was a prayer, even the broken ones. Remember that every detour was a redirection to truth. Remember that every silence was filled with guidance. And most of all, remember this: the divine never needed your perfection, only your participation, only your trust, only your willingness to put down the sword, to unlace the armor, to open the palms of your being and say, I am ready not to control, but to be carried. There is no higher strength than surrender, no greater wisdom than trust, and no deeper power than allowing the unseen to move through you like breath, like wind, like grace. You are not a vessel to be filled, you are a current to be felt. You are the breeze that bends without breaking, the flame that flickers but never dies. Do not wait to feel certain before you walk forward. Walk now with the trembling still in your bones. Walk now, even if your heart beats like a drum of unanswered questions. Walk because the path is made by walking, not by knowing. Walk because the divine is not waiting at the end of your journey. The divine is in each step. In each doubt you release, in each tear you bless, in each moment you surrender your need to know, and simply allow yourself to be guided. To ask the divine and let go is not a spiritual technique, it is a sacred relationship. One born of reverence, not ritual, of intimacy, not obligation. It is the soft conversation that continues long after the words stop. It is the presence that walks with you through the chaos, never judging, only whispering, "Stay with me, trust me, you are not alone, and you are not now, not ever." Even when you feel empty, the divine is pouring light into your hollows. Even when the answers do not come, the silence is forming a deeper truth. Even when the waiting feels endless, the unseen is preparing you to receive not just what you wanted, but what your soul was born to hold. There will be days when you forget again, days when fear returns like an old tide and tries to pull you back into the sea of striving. Let it come, let it touch you, but do not swim in it. Return to the shore of trust, return to the breath, return to the stillness you now know so well. You do not need to be fearless to be free. You only need to choose trust again and again and again until it becomes your nature. Until the letting go is no longer an effort, but a rhythm. Until surrender becomes your sanctuary. Until your very being says to life, "I am open," and in that openness, the divine will move. Not always in the way you expect, but always in the way you most deeply need. It may come as laughter, as peace, as a sudden knowing, as a long-awaited answer, as a presence that holds you when no words can. It will come, not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped standing in the way. You asked, you let go. And now the miracle that is your own being can rise unhindered, unburdened, unbound. The miracle is not what happens outside you, it is the awakening within you. And that awakening has no ending. It only deepens, it only expands, it only continues to bless. So breathe, bow, smile, and walk forward not because you have all the answers, but because you now know the one who does. You are not alone, you are not lost, you are not broken, you are the answer rising from within. And now that you've let go, you are free.
There is a rhythm to this universe that no clock can capture, no calendar can predict. It is the rhythm of the divine. It moves not according to your impatience, not by your logic, and not by your ego's demands, but by something infinitely wiser, infinitely vaster. Divine timing is not late, not early, and never wrong. It arrives like the tide, not to meet your schedule, but to meet your soul's evolution. When you begin to understand this, not as a concept, but as a living truth etched into the silence of your being, something inside you relaxes. You stop measuring your life by the ticking of time and start measuring it by the expansion of your awareness. You no longer say, "Why hasn't it happened yet?" but rather, "What am I being prepared for?" There is no coincidence. There is no accident. Every delay, every detour, every door that would not open was not a rejection, it was a redirection. Life, in its infinite intelligence, has never denied you anything. It has only ever rerouted you to something more aligned with who you are becoming. But the ego does not see alignment. It only sees delay. It only sees absence. It only sees lack. That is because the ego lives in time. The soul lives in truth. And truth is never rushed. The acorn does not argue with the oak it's destined to become. It doesn't complain about how long it takes. It doesn't wish to be another tree. It simply surrenders to the season it is in. It trusts the dark soil and the silent work happening beneath the surface. So must you. You are not being delayed, you are being deepened. We suffer not because life withholds, but because we cling. We cling to timelines, to expectations, to ideas of how and when things must unfold. But divine timing does not ask for your timeline. It asks for your trust. And trust is not passive, it is the most powerful act of surrender. Trust is choosing to believe that even when nothing makes sense, everything is working. That even in silence, there is movement. That even in stillness, something sacred is being orchestrated beyond your view. What appears stagnant is often the space where transformation takes root. The butterfly is not born because the caterpillar pushes harder. It is born because the time is right. And the time is always right, but only to the one who has stopped resisting what is. You were not born to race the clock. You were born to awaken. And awakening does not happen according to schedule. It happens in divine time when the conditions are ready within you, when your spirit is ripe for remembering, when you're finally tired of forcing and start listening instead, listening not to the noise of the world, but to the whisper within you that says, be still, trust this. There is a part of you, ancient, infinite, eternal, that already knows this truth. It is the part of you that has never been in a hurry. It is the part of you that does not panic in the pause. It is the part of you that recognizes that nothing real can be lost and nothing meant for you will pass you by. Let that part of you speak louder now, because everything that you've been waiting for, everything your heart aches to see, is not outside of you. It's unfolding in the unseen. Life is not denying you, it is preparing you. Every unanswered prayer is not a punishment, it is a protection, a recalibration, a sacred pause to make space for something greater. Divine timing does not work to make you comfortable. It works to make you conscious. You see, when you are truly ready, not mentally, not emotionally, but spiritually, you will find that what you once chased begins to arrive without effort. The partner, the peace, the purpose, they do not show up because you demanded them. They show up because you became a vibrational match. Divine timing does not bring you what you want. It brings you what you are ready to hold. And to be ready is to be whole. To be whole is to no longer seek from lack, but to offer from fullness. You stop praying for something to complete you and start radiating the energy that attracts all things naturally. You stop chasing what you think is missing, and you realize nothing is missing. You are already in sacred company, already on holy ground, already part of a divine unfolding that your mind may not understand, but your soul has always trusted. It takes courage to live this way, to let go of your plans, to surrender your agenda, to breathe through the discomfort of not knowing. But this courage is the doorway to miracles. Because miracles do not happen on your timeline, they happen on God's. And God's timing is never rushed by your worry. It is not disrupted by your fear. It is not swayed by your doubt. Divine timing flows from a place that is beyond manipulation, beyond control, beyond your will. It is born from alignment. And alignment comes not from pushing, but from allowing. So let yourself allow the unanswered to be sacred. Allow the delays to be divine. Allow the waiting to be holy. Do not despise the space between the seed and the bloom. Do not curse the rain, the dark, or the dormant. Every season has its place in your becoming. You are not being punished by time. You are being initiated by it. Initiated into patience, into presence, into peace, into the kind of inner freedom that does not depend on outer events, into the kind of knowing that no longer rushes toward the future because it has finally remembered the presence of now. Now is always sacred. Now is always enough. Now is always on time. Even your pain has its purpose. Even your confusion is a corridor. Even your heartbreak is a holy teacher. Not one tear is wasted. Not one setback is random. Every piece of your story is being woven into something radiant, something only divine timing could orchestrate. But here's what you must understand. The soul does not measure progress by speed. It measures it by surrender. It does not ask how far you've come. It asks how deeply you've trusted. And trust is the pathway to all things unseen. Divine timing is the language of the soul. And your soul is fluent in its silence. So slow down, breathe, let go of your deadlines. Release the white-knuckled grip you have around the future. You are not behind. You are not off track. You are not too late. You are exactly where you are meant to be, not by accident, but by grace. You are not waiting for life to begin. Life is waiting for you to open, to soften, to receive what has always been yours, but only at the appointed time, and that time will not be announced. It will arrive like a breeze, quiet, unexpected, transformational, and you will know, not because of a sign in the sky, but because your soul will sigh. Now is the moment. Now is the miracle. Now is always divine. You are not late for your life. That idea only exists in a world ruled by comparison, but your soul does not compare. It unfolds. Like the petals of a lotus, it opens in its own rhythm, untouched by the clock, unmoved by the pressure. The soul does not bloom because others have. It blooms because the moment is right, because the inner soil has been tilled by tears, softened by surrender, and nourished by grace. You are not behind, you are becoming. When you accept this, truly accept it, the anxiety begins to dissolve. You stop racing the phantom of someone else's path. You stop chasing a version of success that was never written for your spirit. And you start living from presence instead of pressure. You no longer look at someone else's breakthrough and feel small. You look and you remember their time is not your time. Their purpose is not your purpose. The divine does not duplicate destinies. It only fulfills them in unique and perfect ways. Let that truth free you. There is no peace in the timeline your ego demands. There is only tension. There is only striving. There is only a constant hunger to arrive somewhere other than here. But you cannot arrive at peace by abandoning presence. You cannot reach joy by resenting the now. You cannot taste the fruit before the roots are formed. Divine timing is the great teacher of this truth. Every delay has been a blessing in disguise. You may not see it in the moment, but one day you will look back and say, thank God that didn't happen when I wanted it to. Because you weren't ready then, not because you were flawed, but because life was still preparing the soil, still shaping the circumstances, still healing the fractures you hadn't even seen, still aligning the pieces in a way that only spirit could orchestrate. Readiness is not determined by desire. Readiness is a vibration. It is the energy of wholeness. When you vibrate in alignment with what you seek, you don't have to chase it, it meets you. That is the magic of divine timing. It doesn't answer your prayers in panic, it answers them in peace. And it waits until you're home within yourself before it delivers what you've asked for. You are not forgotten, you are not unseen. The delay is not a denial, it is a doorway. A doorway into deeper faith. A doorway into greater trust. A doorway into the kind of inner clarity that cannot be shaken by the winds of time. You are not being punished by waiting, you are being prepared by it. The wait is the work. The pause is the place where the sacred rearranges you so that when the right moment comes, you don't sabotage it with your fear. You were never meant to force anything, you were meant to flow with everything. Look at nature. The rivers do not rush to their destination. They meander, they carve, they flow. Not by urgency, but by surrender. And still, they arrive. The seasons do not compete. Winter does not rush to be spring. Each one honors its time, and so must you. There is beauty in honoring your season, even if it looks like stillness to the world. It may be the most active time for your soul. The greatest transformations happen in the dark. The seed does not sprout in the light. It breaks open beneath the surface, in silence, in obscurity. And you too may feel buried right now. But you are not buried, you are planted. You are in the sacred stage of becoming. And when the timing is right, nothing and no one will stop the bloom. So be gentle with yourself. Speak to yourself the way Spirit would speak, with love, with patience, with reassurance. Tell yourself, I may not see it yet, but I trust that everything is unfolding perfectly. Let this trust become your practice. Let it become your prayer. Let it become the lens through which you see every delay, every closed door, every unanswered question. Because sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is wait without worry, breathe without rushing, be without proving. Let life come to you in its own way, in its own time, with its own kind of perfection. There is nothing wrong with you because it hasn't happened yet. There is only ripening, there is only alignment, there is only divine orchestration happening in the unseen, shaping what your eyes cannot yet perceive. And it is not your job to control the how or the when. Your job is only to remain open, willing, and rooted in trust. The divine does not forget its appointments. It never misses its cue. It is not late, it is precise. And when your moment comes, when the door opens, when the alignment strikes like lightning across the sky of your being, you will know it was worth every unanswered question, every tear, every moment of doubt. Because the gift that arrives in divine timing is never just what you wanted, it's what your soul needed all along. That's the difference. What the ego wants often comes with a price, but what Spirit delivers comes with peace. You do not have to sacrifice your soul for what is meant for you. You only have to align with the truth of who you are and allow life to meet you there. Do not confuse stillness with stagnation. The universe is never still. Even when the surface seems quiet, the depths are in motion. So too are you. Even now, something within you is shifting. Even now, you are becoming a more fertile ground for the miracles you once begged for. You are the prayer. You are the timing. You are the place where God shows up, not in fireworks, but in presence. Not in drama, but in alignment. Trust this. Trust the closed doors, for they are divine detours. Trust the quiet, for it is the soil of revelation. Trust the unanswered prayers, for they are the guardians of greater blessings. Trust the seasons of isolation, for they are the spaces where Spirit reshapes you without distraction. Most of all, trust that you are not waiting for life. Life is waiting for you to stop running, to stop grasping, to stop forcing, and simply become still enough to be found by the grace that is already on its way. Let yourself be found. Let yourself be held. Let yourself believe that divine timing is not a punishment, but a promise. A promise that what is truly for you cannot be lost, missed, or delayed. It can only arrive exactly when you are ready to receive it fully. And when it does, it will feel like coming home. Not to a place, but to yourself. The greatest illusion the ego maintains is the belief that we are in charge of time, that we are the masters of beginnings and endings, that we can orchestrate the symphony of life according to our own design. But the soul knows better. The soul knows it is not the conductor, it is the instrument. And when we surrender to divine timing, we allow ourselves to be played by the hands of the infinite. What emerges from that surrender is not weakness, it is music. A harmony that could never have been composed by the mind. A melody that rises only when the heart is still and open. You begin to notice that what you thought was a setback was a setup. That what you perceived as loss was actually rearrangement. That what you judged as stagnation was spiritual gestation. You were not forgotten in the silence, you were being softened. Softened so that you could receive, not just externally, but internally. Because nothing that arrives externally will fulfill you until you are inwardly prepared to hold it with reverence. Divine timing ensures that what is meant for you will not only enter your life, it will remain in your life because you will have become someone who can sustain it. That is why you must trust the wait. There is a divine architecture to your life that cannot be mapped by intellect. It can only be revealed through surrender. You do not see the blueprint, but the builder does. And the builder is never careless. Every beam of timing, every brick of delay, every window of uncertainty is placed with sacred precision. When you stand in the house of your destiny, you will see that even the crooked walls were necessary to bring you home to yourself. But you must be willing to release the illusion of control. Control is the armor of the fearful. It says, if I just try harder, push faster, manipulate better, I can make life bend to my will. But life does not bend to will. It flows through trust. Control may give the illusion of progress, but trust brings the reality of peace. And peace is the foundation upon which all divine things are built. You were never meant to strive your way into blessings. You were meant to align your way into them. Alignment is the holy yes to life as it is. It does not mean you give up desire. It means your desire no longer comes from lack. It comes from love. It means you no longer say, I must have this to be whole, but instead, I welcome this from my wholeness. And when you live from wholeness, timing becomes your ally, not your enemy. The ego says, you should be there by now. The soul says, you are right on time. Every soul blooms in divine sequence. The oak tree does not bloom in spring like the cherry blossom, and the cherry blossom does not judge the cactus for blooming under the desert sun. Every soul has its season. Every path has its pace. And when you honor your own, you free yourself from the suffering of comparison. Comparison is the thief of peace. It convinces you that your worth is measured by how fast you manifest. But true manifestation is not about speed. It's about alignment, resonance, readiness. It's about becoming a vessel that can carry the magnitude of what you've asked for. The universe is not withholding from you, it is waiting for your energy to rise to the level of your request. This is the great invitation of divine timing, to rise, not to race, to rise into patience, into purpose, into presence, to let your growth be the magnet that draws what is meant for you. You do not find your blessings by chasing them. You attract them by becoming who you were born to be. And who you were born to be does not panic in the waiting. Who you were born to be remembers that delays are sacred, that detours are instructional, that even endings are beginnings wearing a different costume. You stop resisting what is and begin listening to what is rising. Because when divine timing moves, it doesn't announce itself. It arrives like dawn, quiet, golden, unmistakable. And those who have learned to trust the dark can receive the light without fear. They no longer cling to the old. They no longer force the new. They allow, they accept, they flow. They trust that every season of their life is a classroom for the soul. You are not late, you are learning. You are not forgotten, you are forming. You are not abandoned, you are being aligned. And when you are aligned, nothing is lost. Everything that is meant for you will find you, not in the chaos of effort, but in the stillness of faith. Faith is not blind belief. Faith is deep remembrance, a return to the knowing that you are already held by something infinitely wise, something that sees 10,000 steps ahead, something that knows exactly when to close a door and exactly when to swing it wide open. Let that knowing soothe you. Let it quiet the voice that says, it should have happened by now. Let it dissolve the anxiety that clings to clocks and deadlines. Let it remind you that you are not on the world's time, you are on soul time. And soul time does not run on urgency, it runs on expansion. The more you expand, the less you force. The more you trust, the more you receive. The more you surrender, the more life reveals its mysterious grace. You begin to walk not ahead of yourself, not behind yourself, but with yourself. And in that sacred companionship with your own soul, you arrive at the only place you were ever meant to be, here. Now, this moment, this breath, this is where divine timing begins, not in some future manifestation, but in your willingness to be fully present with what is. This moment is not in the way, it is the way. It is the seedbed of everything that is coming. It is the holy ground on which your future takes root. Honor it, bless it, trust it. So here you are, not waiting anymore, but awakening, not chasing anymore, but becoming, not counting the hours, but consecrating the moment. And in this holy surrender, something shifts, something softens, something returns. You remember what the ego worked so hard to forget, that you were never separate from the timing of the divine. You were never off course. You were never out of sync. You were always being guided, always being led, always being shaped, not by delay, but by design. Every ache in your chest was a crack through which the light entered. Every prayer that seemed unanswered was an echo, reverberating through a larger orchestration. You could not see it, but the hands of grace were always moving, always aligning, always waiting for you to let go, not because you were being punished, but because your fists were clenched too tightly to receive the miracle. And now you know, the waiting was never empty. It was sacred. It was the chrysalis that transformed you slowly and invisibly into someone who could carry more light. Someone who could love without condition. Someone who no longer begged the universe for answers, but bowed to its wisdom. You are not who you were. The self who demanded the world move faster has dissolved. The self who needed everything to make sense has softened. What remains is truer, quieter, more spacious. You are now a vessel that can receive without needing to control, that can trust without needing to understand. And this trust is the gateway to freedom. Because freedom is not found in having everything you want exactly when you want it. It is found in realizing you are whole, even when nothing has arrived yet. It is found in breathing peacefully through the unknown. It is found in the sacred recognition that everything unfolds not by your command, but by divine alignment. And divine alignment has never failed you. It has placed you in the presence of teachers cloaked as hardship. It has rearranged your plans when they no longer matched your evolution. It has cracked open your heart so that it could stretch wide enough to hold the immensity of love you once feared. And it has brought you here not by mistake, but by miracle. So let the old story fall away now, the one that said you were too late, too behind, too broken, too lost. Let that voice go. It was never your soul speaking. It was your conditioning, echoing in the hallways of your past. But you are not your past. You are not the missed opportunities, the abandoned dreams, the closed doors, the should-haves, or the timelines that unraveled. You are this moment. You are the breath that expands without effort. You are the awareness that watches without judgment. You are the presence that listens without trying to fix. You are the light that remained, even in the longest night. You are the calm after the storm, the clarity after the chaos, the stillness after the striving. You are what was always meant to be. And what is meant for you, truly meant for you, cannot be rushed. It cannot be missed. It cannot be destroyed. It can only arrive when you are fully ready to receive it. Not with trembling hands, but with an open heart. Not with desperation, but with devotion. So take this breath, take this moment, and know, nothing is wasted. No part of your journey has been a detour. Every step has led you here. Every loss carved space for grace. Every silence deepened your listening. Every delay was a message from the divine saying, not yet, because something greater is forming. And now, you're no longer fighting that truth. You're welcoming it. You're no longer demanding your life bend to your timing. You're flowing with the mystery of it all. You're no longer trying to outrun the pain. You're walking through it with open eyes and a steady heart, knowing that even this is part of the rhythm. You're not who you were. You're not who you thought you had to be. You are who you always were, beneath the fear. A soul in perfect harmony with a universe that never makes a mistake. And now you walk differently. Not faster, not more forcefully, but with reverence, with grace, with a quiet knowing that whatever is coming is already yours, that you don't have to run toward it, you just have to rise into it. You just have to meet it by being the truest expression of yourself. And that is freedom. Freedom from urgency, freedom from self-judgment, freedom from timelines built on fear. This is the liberation of the soul that knows, I don't have to rush, I don't have to beg, I don't have to grasp, I just have to trust, open, allow, and life will meet me there. And when it does, it will not be because you forced it, it will be because you became it. The miracle will not come to rescue you, it will come to reflect you. It will not arrive to prove your worth. It will arrive because you finally remembered you were worthy all along. This is the divine unfolding. This is the sacred rhythm. This is your soul, awake and alive, moving with the timing of eternity. So now, breathe. Not because you're waiting for something, but because you are something. You are not waiting for the right time. You are the right time. You are the light that dawns in perfect silence. And divine timing is always right.